if it comes in, it's going to come in. So 4.1, like when you're thinking about like some of these little turd stocks, if you get the 4.1, I mean, that's enough to trade it. Even at 4.1, if you saw it like yesterday, the damn spread on this thing was like crazy hot, crazy. Like when I hit it, it was like 18.30, and then the spread on it was like 17.50 at times. So that's where you got to be real mindful. You can only take like a really clean play, but otherwise, like this Joan, it's got the juice on it because, you know, I had the big day yesterday, but it looks like these reverse split stocks are just kind of really starting to flow. Crazy. That's where you got to kind of keep an eye on this bad boy. Good morning, everybody. What's going on in the hood? How is everybody? Good. Good. So QQQs had a big bounce day yesterday on the 50 SMA, which is awesome, right? You got that hold. So once again, the old 50 SMA has been holding true. You know, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 taps. What's up, Sherman? Aaron, how you doing? All day RA, what's going on? Mr. Taylor, how you doing? So the key's going to be now, like if we can stay over these MAs, we should come back into this 185 kind of zone on this thing. The market is fading off a little bit over here. So just kind of be careful. There has been a little bit of extra volatility the last couple weeks, it seems like, with, you know, this, who knows, trade wars, Supreme Court stuff. Who knows where it comes from. But there is a lot of action happening in this. On the gapper list, it's a little bit short. Hey, Sublime, how you doing? Danny Mac, how you doing? On the gapper list, it's a little bit of a short list today, but there are some stocks that are really moving around pretty well. I've added this Joan. This is an energy stock, which we normally don't play. Energy stocks usually just suck D to come in and so we can come in here. So normally we don't trade energy stocks, but with the move on this SAIX yesterday on oil and gas, you know, and this was a reverse split stock. So this was 1 to 20 reverse split. So it looks like Joan has like the same thing just about a week before. It didn't have as much a volume or as big of a move, but you're already starting to see that move again. We'll watch this thing. I mean, this thing, if it breaks over 11, could really run into the 13s, and we're going to get this thing going. So, yeah, it was, you know, this thing, I normally don't like these kind of reverse split kind of oil stocks, but, you know, we had a big ripper on this SAIX yesterday. Thank you all day. Yeah, I ripped 6K on this fucker right here. But it was just a really simple pattern, right? So the thing with these kind of stocks is you can't really just start sitting there trading it. You've got to wait for like a really hot pattern. So notice how like this thing, when it really tightens up, see that coil right there? How you start to really compress in the range? When you do that, then your risk is really small on these things. But if you go in and, you know, if you go in and you just start filtering around into back and forth, then the spread will kill you on it, and then you're going to have like all sorts of trouble. So only hit this thing if it's a good pattern. TLRY sitting here at support. You got some bounce up on the news. You're already starting to see a really good range kind of come in here pre-market all the way to 125. This will be something, you don't want to chase this thing at the open. Because it's fallen from 300 to 100, obviously it's completely tanked, right? So all these bounces now should be considered dead cat bounces, right? So they should be considered, you know, guilty till proven innocent, actually. So this thing is gapping up. We won't know if it holds yet, so you'll have to watch it at the open, right? I think it's going to be a dead cat bounce, but we should get a bounce on it at some point. The question is how it holds at the open. So don't come in. I'm not going to come in with some like 1 minute chart and try to time this thing at the open. Let a surefire pattern show up, right? If you're going to go for an ORB, you know, definitely we want to see like 3 candles. We want to see actually some real sideways, nice range. or let it pop up and pull back to that 9 EMA, let that hold at the 9 EMA and then come back up on the intraday, and we'll see this thing going. CGC's not pulling either, right? So, you know, this thing is actually odd because, you know, out of all these little turds, this one is looking like it could just break out the highs, right? 5570 is really like your hot resistance point over there. So, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised with the rest of them flooding over and TLRY dying down that this one was even able to hold up. So I definitely keep an eye on this one too. NIHD's busted out of this trend line over here. You're starting to see some really good range on this pre-market also. I'll have this on watch for an ORB. And then this AMRN. Anybody play this thing into the close yesterday? Woo! Look at that thing go, right? That 10 to 12, man, 1260. I mean, that's a 25% move into the close on, I mean, so just a pretty steady one. So we'll watch this one for a red to green today. Because this thing's up 314%, I won't try to just sit there and pick this thing off a bottom. If it goes red to green and starts to build, I'll take this thing. But otherwise, like, I hate chasing this thing because the float on this thing is a little bit monster. You can see, like, it takes a little bit more time to set up. And so you're going to have to kind of keep an eye on this. Because TLRY is bouncing, put the rest of these weeds on the watch list too. You can see NBEV sitting here on its 9 EMA, right? So like now it's pulled back from 10 to the 9 EMA at 4. You're starting to hold here. So we definitely want to keep this one on the list too. Remember that out of all of them, the NBEV was the one that was really, really cooking, you know, before TLRY popped. So this is going to be one to kind of keep an eye on too. Now the main thing with these is that they have to be considered dead cat bounces, meaning these bounces can't be trusted. We could have like a 1-day move or a 2-day move or something like that. But when you have like such a deep pullback, these are usually signals that the trend is over for the time being. So you got to kind of just be mindful of that, you know, all these things could be just dead cat bounces on a short-term basis. Exxon, man, we fucked this one up yesterday. I was up on this thing like $1,000 and I gave it back. But it had a crazy good range on it. The volume was really good, 19 million on a 68 million share float. So overall, it's got, you know, some nice juice. The problem is it's got this little bit of resistance here at 20. Mr. Mello, I was going to mention that to you, where if we see this thing go red to green, we need it to break over this 20 to get this thing going. Anything under that 20, I think it just kind of fades off. There was a seller just parked in there, just fucking raining shares all day yesterday. So this one gets a little bit tricky. Mr. Justin, will I be seeing you in class today? You better be in class tonight. Guys, as always, remember today we start day 1 of boot camp. So day 1 of boot camp is one of the most important because we set up our charts, we set up our indicators, we get everything going, and it ends up being kind of like the foundation for the next 60 days. You know, obviously we're going to have 60 days of class. There's a lot of stuff to go over, but that day 1's really important. So make sure you got your TC 2000s and everything ready to go. CRC, keep this on watch. Whoa, this thing trended. We talked about this pre-market yesterday, right? This is the type of pattern he wants. So the ORB on this thing failed. You guys see this? Well, it popped up like 30 cents and it just dumped back down. That's going to happen, but like this is like a surefire pattern. See when they start to dump and they just start to round a little bit? When they come back and remount that VWAP, that's a really, really nice pattern. That's called that's what we call a shake and bake pattern. What a shake and bake pattern is like when you're just dumping and you don't hold at the VWAP, you actually bust under, but then you round back over. And what the key on this is going to be, so, you know, remember this, guys, when you're doing a shake and bake pattern and, you know, you break back over the VWAP, you want that 9 EMA kind of up under it. Hey, Gary, what's up, baby? You want that 9 EMA under it to really, really help you ride up on the trend. And so remember that when you guys are thinking, like, there's patterns that are clean, right, that'll just break out. But just as many times, you know, patterns will fail, and then you've got to come in with the remount pattern, you know, good old-fashioned shake and bake. But a shake and bake pattern is really effective because Usually it shakes everybody out because it looks like it's dumping hard, right? You go from like a 45 to a 43, and then when you rebound back, you know, you get caught, everybody's caught in a short squeeze. PYX, man, keep an eye on this one too. If the weeds are going to go, this one's got a surefire breakout spot at 29.85. So if that's the case, you know, keep an eye on this one because this one's been holding up pretty well. I will say the one thing on this is I think that the volume's a little bit light on this one. It's only 1.1 million shares, but my anticipations, if it breaks, the volume should shred in. XAS took off yesterday, moved this towards the top of the list. We have confirmation now of the trend line break. This one's got a pretty good range on it, good liquidity too for the most part. Even though it only does 1.4, the liquidity on it's better than a lot of the ones that have only done 1 million shares. So that's going to be kind of top of the list too. Guys, the rest of this stuff, it was a little bit light yesterday, you know, in the markets. But remember, you know, you only need, right? You only need one hot play to really get going, right? You only need one hot play to keep going. Like I was sucking deep yesterday. Couldn't get anything going. And then, you know, you rip one big one and you're back in the game, right? And that's always the nature of things. Add AMD to the list too. I forgot. Right, AMD to the list. Move this towards the top of the list too. Because you got the flag pattern. It's holding at the 9. You got the flag pattern coming out here. And this one just moves really, it's a good old steady stock. So that's going to be the nature of the game. Time to get going. Let's go out and make some money. Guys, as you know, we start boot camp class tonight. You can actually, I do have boot camps in my house in Destin, so you're more than welcome to come. You hit me up if you have any questions. Guys, give me a thumbs up on the video if you're enjoying what we do. If you think that you know, we're providing some value, would really appreciate it. Tell your friends about me. Trade well tonight. Trade good, trade well, trade fast, and let's go do what we do. As always, I'll be in the chat room shredding this stuff live. My friends, let's go out and make something happen. There's going to be a lot of hot stocks right at the open today. Hey, all day. 30 minutes and we're out of here today. We don't got time to wait around.